Hi there, greetings, salutations. My name is Jake Query. That is?
Hi, my name is Derek Schultz.
The apparently more recently shaved Derek Schultz. And this is the incredibly creatively and appropriately named Query and Schultz program here on ISC Sports Network. Derek, first off, it is a better look. The Ned Flanders look is gone.
I just think this is going to sound crazy. I mean, it's almost going to sound braggy. I don't mean it to be braggy. It's just factually accurate, as I think most people in the viewing audience know. No matter what I do, I look in the mirror afterwards and I'm like, that just looks really good. You know what I mean? Like the beard is part of my brand, obviously. The mustache looks really good. And this kind of like 10-day stubble, when you get a little peekaboo, right there, and the mix of that, it's just kind of like sultry, hot, sexy. It's great. It's a great summer look. Like I went to the JCC pool, and I could tell, I wasn't directly looking at anybody, but I have a very strong periphery, and I could tell a lot of the other moms were kind of going like that. You know, when you get that. Have you ever gotten that?
We have a lot to discuss today, including Purdue getting some good news. We have some racing to get into. Probably not a lot of Colts conversation, actually, because they're in OTAs and it's June. So what do you know there? But, Derek, we'll begin actually with Purdue getting the news, even though I realized it was a couple days ago, that Zach Edey is going to return. I don't think this is a huge surprise because Edey had said all along basically that he needed to be assured of being a first-rounder in order to keep his name in the NBA.
A 2-year commitment is what I had seen reported, right? Where he wanted to know from an NBA team, hey, we're going to take you and we're going to give you 2 years to develop and do this. He didn't want to be a year from now sitting having already been released.
Which if you were a second rounder, that increases the chance of that happening, right? I do believe, and I said this on the radio and kind of got criticized for it, I do believe that he will have a long NBA career. I actually do think that's the case. Mm-hmm. I think if you look at take for example the player that Cody Zeller has become, in his role in Miami, I think there is at minimum a role like that for Zach Edey in the NBA. But now the question becomes that you know that he is back at Purdue, and assuming that Purdue's roster stays intact, there's a balancing act there because I think that Zach Edey is going to want to show that he can do a few more things than what he has done at the college level to showcase himself for the NBA. But at the same time, Matt Painter's job is to get Purdue to be the best college basketball team it can be. And so how do you balance incorporating a little bit more for Edey? Does that you get what I'm saying?
I totally understand. But I'll tell you, given that it's Zach Edey and knowing what we know about him and given that it's Matt Painter, to me, I'm 0% worried about that working out. There is a delicate balance there that they're going to have to strike. You're 100% right. But those are two guys that I think are going to get on the same page because Matt Painter seemingly always has his guys on the same page. And that's just how the players he recruits are wired. You know, deep down, Zach Edey knows that the reason that he's in this position, or a large reason why he's in this position, is because of the development that he's gotten from Painter and the coaching staff. So he knows to trust them. I think that they're going to do not only what's best for the team, but what's best for him as an individual.
Now, what about the other bigs? Are there other bigs for Purdue that now, even though it's late in the game, may say, I'm going to look at the portal?
Maybe. I think you kind of knew, like you said, Jake, at the beginning of this conversation, odds were heavily in the favor of this being the decision. This is not a surprise. So I think you wouldn't have waited around until the first week of June for the dust to settle there. I think you would have made that decision earlier if you were convinced that this was going to be the case, that was going to happen. So again, that's not really a concern for me either. What I'm interested to see is, are Lawyer and Smith going to make the leap that we see a lot of guys make from freshman to sophomore year? Generally speaking, the leap comes in between year 1 and year 2. So if that happens for Purdue, then they're going to be in really good shape. They're going to be a really good basketball. They're going to be a good basketball team no matter what, but they're going to be a really good national title contender team. But if Lawyer and Smith, what happened to them at the end of last year, continues, and they're too easily taken out of games, bumped out of what they want to do physically, then I think that's it's not going to matter if Zach Edey's going for 25 and 15 every night.
Right.
To me, it comes down to what's going to happen with the Purdue backcourt. But, the Colvin kid coming in is going to give them a boost of athleticism. I think First is going to be better. I think Kaufman-Wren's going to be better. You're returning essentially every key player from last year's team. So, yes, the news is good. I know that the after effect and the aftershock of the 16 seed, that's going to carry with Purdue for a long time, probably until they finally break through and get to another Final Four. But just looking on paper at what they put on the floor next year, I don't know how you couldn't be excited about it.
Did you ever drink aftershock?
Yeah, cinnamon, right?
Yeah.
I had a really bad experience with Goldschlager at IU my freshman year, and I couldn't have cinnamon gum for like 2 years. I used to be a big cinnamon gum fan.
What about gold?
Like, no, gold was fine.
It has it has actual
gold flakes.
Gold in
yeah.
there. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of not Dentyne, Cinnaburst was this gum that I used to have. I'd have a cigarette, and then afterwards to freshen my breath, I would choose. I don't even know if they still make Cinnaburst, but Cinnaburst, like a lot of cigarette smokers did mints. I always did cinnamon. And then after the Goldschlager, I couldn't do that anymore, so I had to go to mints after the cigarettes.
If they would have made a cinnamon instead of a menthol cigarette, would you have been in on that?
Well, part of the reason, that's actually a great question, Jake. Part of the reason that I went to menthol cigarettes is because I was like, I need a little bit more of the mintiness. So, because I can't do the cinnamon gum, because this was post-bad Goldschlager experience.
No, when you say bad experience.
Yeah. Oh, like throwing up on the... Yeah, and all of that. And then I would actually think about...
Did the gold flakes come back up?
When I needed to puke, I would think about the Goldschlager and the cinnamon, and that would always like kind of mentally trigger that for me. But, okay. Yeah. You never had a bad experience with alcohol? You weren't like really... No. Did you drink alcohol at all?
I mean, I'm not like...
Okay. No, and I'm not trying to like... I had a very common...
you know what?
Suburban white kid
to be fair,
experience with alcohol.
To be fair, I was never a hard alcohol guy, and I've never been more than like a 2-beer guy.
Yeah. I just think we have a lot of similarities growing up and everything like that. I think the one difference, like around starting like 16 and on, a little bit more of a partier, a little more girls in my life, like things like that. Different from you.
There were areas I did okay.
I think you were a late bloomer, because like in your late 20s and in your 30s, it sounded like things were going okay in that area. But for me, my peak was more like 16 to 25 area.
Yeah. Katie Koletsky?
Katie was a nut that I was not able to crack.
To say the
Maybe
least.
I should use a different analogy than
okay.
Yeah, a little different saying there.
This program, by the way, is sponsored by, probably not the time to be bringing that up, but we would like to thank our loyal sponsors who've been very good to us, including Bailey & Wood, of course. Bailey & Wood Financial Group, BAWFG.com is their website, where your money is going to stay right here in Indiana, because they are dedicated not only to getting you the best mortgage rates and the best interest rates when it comes to buying a new home, but also they love to be able to return to the community. Very philanthropically involved as Bailey & Wood. Matter of fact, upcoming is going to be their golf outing, right?
Yeah, that is going to be in August.
Yeah. Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender. Derek, the phone number is?
855-350-HOME and BAWFG.com.
Derek, you need to say it slower.
855-350-HOME, BAWFG.com. Also Instagram and socials as well, Bailey & Wood.
855-350-HOME. Yeah, see,
I was looking at this, and this is a great trivia question for you. This actually, some of these names are before your era, but I think if you really thought about it, you would think of this. There's only been one back-to-back Wooden Award winner. Obviously the Wooden Award didn't come around until the late 70s.
Sampson.
Yeah, Ralph Sampson. I think that's common knowledge.
Okay.
Zach Edey obviously will have the chance to do that by coming back. There have been 4 different other repeat Associated Press national POY winners.
Okay.
Can you name the 4?
Player of the Year.
POY, yep. It's been around since the 50s. So I think there were 2 obvious ones here, but I had to really think on the other 2.
Allow me to ask this, Derek. I would have seen how many of these 4 play professionally?
You would have seen 3 of the 4 play professionally. Even though I think one guy is known as one of the greatest college players ever, whose pro career kind of was and never was. No, but you're on the right track.
See, I would have guessed
a national championship winning player.
I would have guessed Oscar Robertson.
Not Oscar. I don't know if it was around. Well, actually, yeah, it would have been because a guy that was Oscar's Olympic teammate did win it back-to-back years.
Olympic team
in 1960.
Lucas.
Yeah, Jerry Lucas was the first one to do it.
Okay,
and then let's get the two obvious ones out of the way: Walton Alcindor, UCLA, but then another one who was a guy that I think was people thought was going to be a game-changing player in the NBA, and it just never really happened for him.
And
kind of like Samson.
In what era?
70s. Mid to late 70s.
David Thompson.
Yeah. What was the deal with that? Did he have injuries or anything, or was he just like?
I think drugs, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about his like personal life.
He was a very, very popular player for, I believe, the Nuggets.
Like
right?
He was supposed to be Michael Jordan,
correct,
right? And
correct.
That just.
But
never
I think
really
I believe off-court stuff got him a little bit.
And to be fair, a lot of the reason why we don't see a lot of repeat national POY and Wood Award winners is because guys leave.
Right.
But there have been some guys that have come back for a second year, and we've seen that in college football as well. Remember, we've been talking about a repeat Heisman winner for a long time, and that never seems to come to fruition either. Didn't Tebow have the chance to repeat, and then he didn't?
As a Heisman winner?
Yeah, I thought Tebow won, and then he came back.
I can tell you the Heisman winners to come back, and at one time I could have told you all of them.
Yeah.
Because junior Heisman winners was such an anomaly, right? Billy Sims lost it to Charles White. Desmond Howard. Was it Desmond Howard? No, I'm sorry. Ty Detmer. Ty Detmer lost it the next year to, I believe, Gino Torretta. And then it became kind of common.
Yeah.
I mean, Johnny Manziel and others.
Yeah,
by the way, we are inside the Lou Malnati studio. I'd like to thank Lou Malnati's as well. Multiple Central Indiana locations. Right now, perfect time of year to sit outside on Ferguson in Broad Ripple against the canal and get yourself a traditional or a Chicago-style pizza and their wide array menus and outdoor activities for the kids, full bar as well.
Delicious pies at Lou Malnati's. We've got our Lou Malnati's Who's Cooking coming up here in just a little bit. But while we're on the topic of delicious local foods that you can acquire in Midtown, let's go ahead and get to our Hoagie and Hero of the Week.
Not wasting time. What do we have here?
From our friends at Hoagies and
Derek.
Hops.
Derek. I think I see an onion.
No, I got all the onions off. That's shredded lettuce. Hoagies and Hops, located at 42nd and Boulevard on the southwestern edge of Midtown. They also cater, hoagiesandhops.com. Delicious sandos, just like this one, the best cheesesteak in Indianapolis. Also great, delicious Pennsylvania-inspired sides. Dutch, Amish, good old Philly home cooking at Hoagies and Hops. This here is the Brotherly Love. See, isn't that cute? All the sandwiches have cute kind of like PA names. Brotherly Love, let's make sure that I have all the ingredients here because there's a lot on this. Turkey and ham, salami, provolone, lettuce, tomato, the shaved onion, just delicious, and the olive oil. I didn't put oil on yours, though, because I know you don't like oil.
You want more shaved onion? Because you left some on mine. Here you go.
Just relax. There might be 1 or 2 shaved onions on there, but they're delicious.
It is outstanding, but it's so good you don't need shaved onion. That's the point. Cheese especially is great. What are you doing?
Excellent. Really good sando. Our Hero of the Week.
It's just a sandwich.
They're underway now. A couple of weeks
Not
into the
sando.
season. And the Fever are just 1-4.
This sandwich is so good it needs no accentuation or nickname.
I love oil. Oil puts it over the top for me. But did you know, newly minted in her first month as a professional player, congratulations to Aaliyah Boston.
That's
she
right.
is the WNBA Rookie of the Month
And
for May.
Derek, she is only the what-numbered Rookie of the Month in Fever history?
Oh, God, I don't even know the answer to this. Second?
That is correct.
Besides Tamika?
Tamika never did it, and I believe Greg Rakestraw can probably point this out. I was shocked when I saw that Aaliyah Boston is only the second Fever rookie to be named a Rookie of the Week winner in her career, and I believe the reason that would be the case is because Tamika Catchings did not play until year number 2.
Oh, because of her knee?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Because she would have been
Let me think of really good Fever. You know, Breon January played really well on that 2019.
I hate to say this, I forget the name of the other.
Oh, come on. So you asked a trivia question?
I didn't ask a trivia question. I didn't ask
it's
you.
Only the second one. Can you guess who it is?
I never said, can you guess who it is? I don't do that.
16 points, 6 rebounds, and a block and a half per game, essentially. I'm rounding up a little bit. And the Fever have been more competitive. 3 of their 4 losses have been by single digits, and we know that this is going to be a long climb.
Correct.
Back to the top. I mean, they've been really, objectively speaking, they've been the worst franchise in the WNBA for the last 5 or 6 years. So it's going to take some time for them to climb back up, but Aaliyah Boston leading the way.
Do you know that if she played for the Celtics, her jersey would say Boston?
Yeah, you brought that joke up on last week's show. Thank you.
Isn't that amazing?
Thanks a lot for that. The coolest can at Chili Water Brewing here and the tap room directly adjacent to Hoagies and Hops, 42nd and Boulevard, in the same compound, is the Habanero IPA. This was done by one of their cooks, or I don't know, he works the counter sometimes too. I don't actually know what Christina calls her. One of the Hoagies and Hops employees, really Joey, good. Designed this can, and you see it's El Diablo serving up a cerveza here, and it's a really good beer.
Derek, do you know this? Do you know the significance?
Not an IPA guy.
Do you know the significance?
I'm really good. Of what?
Well, I mean the fact that you've got, aside from the name, the design of the can. You've got Lucifer on the can, right?
Yeah, habanero like heat, so devil.
Yeah. Do you know?
Right?
Do you
Hell.
know? Yeah. There's more.
666 in the background.
Do you know
See
why?
No, tell me.
6.66% ABV.
No, that can't be right. No, it's batch 666. Okay. Oh, and it's 6.66% ABV. Wow.
What do you know?
That's actually kind of cool.
What do you know?
I had no idea.
Jake knows what he's talking about.
Well,
what an anomaly.
How cool is this? This is batch 666 and ABV 6.66. We had this, Jake, we featured this beer on the show, and you didn't point any of these things out. How did you miss all of this? That's kind of embarrassing for you. I feel bad for you. It's a good beer. And this is kind of IPA.
Like, how old were you when you realized that 7-Eleven is open at 7 a.m. and closes at 11
I mean,
p.m.?
I think of like lagers and pilsners and light stuff, basically anything that's not a porter or a stout as a summer beer, but IPA especially, kind of the fruitiness of it.
No, you're right.
I mean,
it's outstanding, for sure.
Even more of a summer beer here. So check out our friends at Chili Water Tap Room. They're always so nice. Just a great crew over there. And you still owe me a Chili Water Tap Room beer. We're supposed to be buds and go over there and have a beer, and you have not invited me yet.
The hell? The day after the mini? We were there. I was there.
Yeah, that was not an invitation from you, and it was not a one-on-one buddy friend date. That was a group of us that went over there.
Hold on.
So we have a one-on-one buddy friend date. You promised one-on-one buddies, friends promised to me from you.
You're allowed one of the three. Buddy, friend, or date. Date off the table. So now you're down to 2.
No, I mean people people know what I mean by that.
I mean it's the right month.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying.
Go on dates
buddy
with friends.
Okay, no.
So big deal. Just 2 buds on a bro date. How about that? Bro date. Just 2 bros getting together, having some brews. Bros, brews, bro, brew, date.
Did you not have a strong
At Chili Water Brew?
Did you not have a strong friend group as a kid?
I had a very strong friend group. As a kid.
Okay, like Katie Koleski, who had a restraining order against
who I was
you.
Smoking menthol cigarettes with.
Yeah, I'll bet they loved hanging out with you.
42nd Boulevard, Hoagies and Hops, 42nd
The little
Boulevard.
fellow with his Newports is back over again.
Hoagiesandhops.com. Check him out.
I'm sure that went over well.
Support local, delicious food, and delicious beer. When we return on the show, how about them trees? Indiana State baseball is on to the Super Regional. True. First time in almost 40 years. We'll talk a little ISU. We'll talk a little NBA Finals, all even Steven. Plenty more to get to. Rolling along, episode 139.
Right here.
Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Hey, AC.
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back to Query and Schultz. presented by Bailey & Wood Financial Group.
The sandwich is outstanding.
Jake Query, I'm Derek Schultz. Kind of one of the core sandwiches, I think, on Christina's menu. I mean, non-cheesesteak division. We're talking the cold deli subs. Hog Island's the number one. But the rest that I think would be in there would be Brotherly Love, Keystone. Ooh, and then, well, hold on.
How about any?
Always Sunny. I'm struggling between Always Sunny and Market Street, but I think I'll lean Always Sunny.
Do you want to clear your throat and then
I'm fine.
get back into it? You seem choked up there for a second.
No, I was thinking about the cigarettes that I used to smoke that used to shred up my esophagus with the fiberglass that's in there.
How long were you a cigarette smoker?
Essentially 10 years. Wow. The weird thing for me, though, is that I didn't really start until I was 18.
And that was because?
Just to be cool. I don't know. I just would do anything for people and girls to like me. So that was my mindset at the time. And rebel against my parents. You know, I was a spoiled.
Let me offer
spoiled
for you
suburban
folks,
kid, and I was, fighting the authority.
Let me offer for you folks the most shocking thing ever said in media. I would do anything for girls and my friends to like me.
That's exactly what it was for me.
Finally, after how long have we been doing? How long have we done a show together?
So desperately, 12 years about.
12 years. After 12 years, a dozen years, that's correct. Finally, Derek Schultz, the truth comes out. I would do anything for girls and my friends to like me.
I just so desperately wanted to be cool. And so, the good news is, I guess you could say, is that I was cool. So, mission accomplished.
Of the two of us, which one do you think more naturally oozes cool?
I think you have more of a, it sounds harsh to say geriatric, but that age group, late in life, sun is setting on me kind of coolness about you. I think other 55-year-olds would be jealous that you look a little bit younger and you act a little bit younger. But as far as who is cooler now or whatever else, so it's me. Clearly.
Okay. This from the guy who I know it's shocking would do anything to get girls
Jake,
and
I'm
his
talking about
friends
when I was 16.
to like him.
Yeah, but yes, I would do anything to have that happen. Indiana State, let's talk about them and our friends at Love Heating and Cooling, because they are the subject of our Love That Play. They swept their regional, won all 3 games, and are moving on to a super regional for the first time since 1986. In fact, the last time that they did this, there was no such thing as super regionals.
Yeah,
they went right
to
Omaha.
Yeah.
Right to the College World Series. But Love Heating and Cooling has been around for over 100 years, 353-2141, love-hvac.com. And we were doing this show 2 years ago when they celebrated their 100th anniversary.
Correct.
Been around since 1920. And a big anniversary, a big birthday for Chris and John Love, the Love brothers. Happy 50th, celebrated just last week.
So
and you were there.
I was, and this was fabulous because, and here's the photo. Please don't mind my gut.
Oh, stop.
So on the far left in the turquoise, that is Rob Whitaker. Rob Whitaker actually just texted me the other day and said, you know what? His son, Nate, he's like, Nate really wants to go to Hoagie and Hops. Do you think it'd be a good play? I'm like, that is the ultimate. Hoagies and Hops, Rob, would be the best place. It just screams like dad, son, grub trip, right?
They're hiring, too. If his
really?
son needs a job, yeah.
Well, his son's like 9.
That's okay. Actually, no, I shouldn't. Let me check with Christina.
It's not okay, Derek. Next to him was Jim Burge that went to Harvard, and then myself, and then Chris and John Love, their 50th birthday. Eric Barrett, who was a tennis champion at Indiana, was on the far right there. And Chris and John, their mom's house, was the epicenter of our childhood, so it was perfect to be able to celebrate their 50th at a party at her house. Absolutely. This being Chris Love right here, this being John Love right there. They are identical twins. There's Eric Barrett. There's myself. The gut doesn't look good, does it? Jim Burge, Rob Whitaker.
You're fine, Jake.
You're
in better shape than most 55-year-olds.
50, though.
Whatever you are, yeah. Mid-50s-ish.
But Love Heating and Air, our friend John Coop, listener of the show for a long time, worked at IndyCar, called me the other day, said, look, I need a new furnace and air conditioner unit. And guess what? Right now, Love Heating and Air is at his house because he said, man, these guys are great. They came out and gave me an estimate. They were fair, great product, knowledge of product. That's what we love about Love Heating and Air. 317-353-2141. That's 317-353-2141. Love-HVAC.com. Help John and Chris celebrate their 50th birthday by giving a look at Love Heating and Air. And congratulations to Indiana State, our Love That Play winner.
Some Indiana's
got a chance to join them, right?
Yes, but they have to win. We're taping this right now on Monday. They have to beat Kentucky today in order to advance.
Well, they might.
Some great factoids from a guy that actually called some Indiana State baseball games this year, in Greg Rakestraw. Had a great RPI, and that was the reason, most of the reason why they were picked to host a regional, which people didn't really they got upset with. They were just 2-9 against top 50 teams, but then of course won all 3 games, Wright State, and then beating Iowa twice in their regional to advance. And
Coach came from Iowa, right?
It's just it's a great story. Ball State made this tournament as well. They won the MAC, and then they were unable to win a game in the postseason. But you had Indiana in the NCAA tournament. Jake, 20 years ago when I was at IU, Indiana baseball and Big Ten baseball in general was kind of a joke.
Yeah, when I was at IU, I didn't even know that. I mean,
now I know Indiana State and Evansville have a good history, but it's not like Indiana State's been doing a whole heck of a lot here lately, or UE has been doing a whole heck of a lot here lately. I don't remember what's happened with Ball State baseball. I have no idea what their history is. Really, in this state, the only team that I think ever did anything, in my 20s and 30s was Notre Dame.
Ball State, by the way, had the number 1 player selected in the Major League Baseball draft about 12 years
Brian
ago.
Bullington. Yeah. Who won 1 Major League game, and I think he shut out the Yankees.
Was it for Kansas City?
Yeah. He shut out the Yankees, and how cool would that be? Like, obviously, his career, he never should have been the number 1 pick. The Pirates were in that era where they were just all about cost saving, so they were signing guys who they knew they could sign cheaper and not extending themselves. But I remember Brian Bullington went like 7 or 8 innings for the Royals and won, I think, 1-0 against the Yankees. It'd be pretty cool to say,
no doubt.
A, I was the number 1 pick, and B, I kind of shut out the Yankees one time. Even if that was just your career.
Even though
but
the
congratulations
back then, right?
to Indiana State. Congrats. Well, no, this would have been like 2008-9, like around when they won the World Series. They very rarely have sucked in their history outside of like the 80s. Congratulations to Ball State. Indiana, regardless of what happens today. Indiana State, regardless of what they do in the Super Regionals. Just a great year for Indiana baseball in this state all the way around.
I like Indiana State.
Hell, Indy, Jake. Indy's in the tournament too. Like
they're
everybody,
in North Carolina.
All these college baseball teams have been fantastic this year.
I think Indiana State should redo their logo, though.
They just did.
I know, but like they're
terrible. But look at your back. See your back there? Turn the hat around. That one they've changed. So this is not the Sycamores that you see here is not this way anymore.
I like
they did like the Indiana Pacers Minecraft state of Indiana, and then I think they just have an I, and then do they have an S with it, Rake, or no? Is it just the I? Okay, he'll type in there what he means.
I'd like for them, by nature, especially when it comes to sports uniforms, we are nostalgic, right?
Yeah.
I would like to see Indiana State go back to the baby blue. The powder blue Larry Bird era with the state of Indiana as the I. Indiana,
I hear you.
Cool.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, and I kind of have that brain. You don't, because I'm in marketing and comms now, and to just change a brand on the fly is difficult to do like that. That takes a lot of focus groups and meetings. And
now, if they go to Omaha, is Bro going to rush the field?
Oh, yeah, I was thinking about that. He was probably down there passed out in the stand or by that graveyard. You see that graveyard they got out left? Like, I looked at that graveyard in left field. People don't know at home what we're talking about. We had a sales guy who we love named John, just life of the party
No last
guy.
name based on
life
what
of
you
the
just
party.
said.
Just a great dude. People know if you've worked in radio in Indianapolis, you know who I'm talking about
Yes.
here. Just a gigantic personality and a lovely guy. Like, I consider him a friend.
No, great guy.
But we went to we did a live show from a Butler Indiana State game. The last time Butler and Indiana State played, I think, at Holman Center. And this is when Chris Holtman was still at Butler. And ISU won at the buzzer. And he was the only person over the age of 23 that rushed the floor. And John is pushing 60 at this point.
He was hugging players.
I half expected him. He took video of it and put it on Facebook of a selfie of him running. I half expected him to be just passed out in that graveyard in left field, like after Indiana State was rallying for all those runs. It's a crazy run for them. Speaking of crazy runs, to veer it back to sports and the NBA Finals, we keep saying, okay, the Heat can't do this, right?
I know.
The
Derek.
Heat can't
What
do
did I
that.
tell you? What did I tell you? You can't bet against Eric Spoelstra and Jimmy Butler. And that supporting group, Miami, in terms of this is the vintage Miami Heat game. Down 6-8 at the half, down 5 midway through the third. They had to cut it to get it to 6. And then all of a sudden, like a couple minutes into the fourth quarter, get a bucket, take the lead, up 1, get a couple stops, up 3, ups. And before you know it, there's 2 minutes to go in the game, and you're like, oh, my God, they're up 11.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. It is so methodical the way they do it. But the thing that makes them so challenging, Derek, is that they literally have 8 or 9 guys that can all of a sudden out of nowhere give you a 20-point game. Duncan Robinson comes off the bench, gives you 12. Gabe Vincent hits big shots. Max Strus at some point is going to wake up and get going. And then Jimmy Butler, obviously, and the way that they facilitate through Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero may be coming back from injury. I mean, they're tough, man. Are they going to win it? I don't know, but I mean, give them credit. I mean, Eric Spoelstra, flat-out coach, man.
I'm usually not an eye test guy because eye test generally means that, like, I know more than what the stats say, and I'm more of a data guy. But Miami is the kind of team that you have to watch play to appreciate because you look at them on paper or you look at them statistically, and you say to yourself, why are they good?
Yeah.
Like, did they just go through an 82-game shooting slump?
You watch Ted Lasso?
No. You've asked me that before on the show. Spoelstra?
Less without giving anything away for the show, less some of the complications. Nate from Ted Lasso.
Yeah. I still don't think
from Ted Lasso
that they're going to – I don't even know who that is. I still don't think that they're – is that Jason Sudeikis' character?
No.
Okay.
He's Ted Lasso.
Okay, cool. I don't think they're going to win the series. You can keep this, Sean. Keep this on tape because
why would the name of the show is Ted Lasso?
I don't think Miami's going to win this series.
Jason Sudeikis is the writer, the creator, and the star of the show.
But they keep proving
it's called Ted Lasso. Why would he be Nate?
That this isn't a fluke. Like they beat Milwaukee and everybody said, "Well, I don't know about this." And they pretty much outplayed the Knicks all 6 games and won 4 of them. And then it was, well, the Knicks were nicked up or whatever else. And they do it to Boston, and then you're like, oh, okay, maybe. And then they do it to, the guy who pound for pound is the best player in the world being competitive right now with Jokic and the Nuggets. At this point, even if they lost the next 3 games, I think you'd have to say that Miami has proven itself that this is no, like, flash in the pan kind of fluky, UConn 2014 type run here.
What number final, top of your head, number finals for Eric Spoelstra? Top of your head. No,
6.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, I think
because 4 with 3. LeBron, and then the bubble year, and then this one.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, and Miami, Jake, has just been. If you go this century only, Miami's been one of the best NBA franchises. Now they've had some of this, but they've gone to 7 finals.
Think the Knicks should have held on to Pat Riley?
Pat Riley chose to leave on his own. That was not a. There was nothing. I don't think that the Knicks could do there. There were too many egos involved.
Was Dolan in charge back then?
No. That was Dave Checketts in the old era before they sold to Cablevision.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
I think that was the late 90s when Dolan and Cablevision kind of came in there. Yeah. But Riley resigned via fax machine, and then the Knicks knocked Miami out in 3 straight road elimination games in Miami. So, all good.
And got how many titles out of that?
All good. I'm just saying, they knocked them out 3 straight years. Alonzo Mourning technically is an NBA champion because he was still holding on the 2016. But essentially speaking, Alonzo Mourning, who was their franchise guy, won nothing during his career because the Knicks kept knocking them out of the playoffs.
I don't think anybody considers Alonzo an all-time great. He's a good player.
He was one of their, at that time, he was their franchise player.
I get it.
For a run.
But
now,
I mean,
that's since obviously been replaced by
Fat
Wade,
Lever. Fat Lever was Denver's
and LeBron.
franchise player.
Of course. Good point.
I mean,
Good point. I'm just telling you. Outside of a title, the thing in my life, more than Indiana going to the 2002 national title game with me as a freshman, more than any of the Yankees championships or the Giants Super Bowls, the thing in my sports fandom, which is now pretty much closed, that brought me the most joy in my life were those 3 straight elimination wins. I hated the Miami Heat far more than I hated the Pacers or even Jordan's Bulls, and I hated Jordan's Bulls. They were my number 1.
Why?
Because they mucked it up, just like the Knicks did as well. Like, they were peers of each other.
Right.
But I hated Marley and Tim Hardaway and Vashawn Leonard and P.J. Brown.
Vashawn Leonard, man, I forgot about him.
I hated that whole team.
Okay.
All of them. And especially Riley. Alonzo Mourning hitting a layup and then pointing to the sky. It's like, dude, all right, you don't have to point to the sky for every layup, okay? Like, I'm down with the higher power and all of that, but like, relax a little bit. Only point up there when you hit like a buzzer beater.
Well,
you know what I mean? I don't do a successful segment on the show and then go like this.
Imagine the number of times
ridiculous.
that Ewing could have. Oh, that's right. Buzzer beater, you said.
The funny thing is that he hit a buzzer beater.
He missed.
It's funny that you say that. He hit a buzzer beater in Game 5 to extend that series. No one remembers that. Knicks were down 3-1.
He took like 9 steps.
In 95, the Knicks were down 3-1.
He took Ewing 9 steps.
In 95, the Knicks were down 3-1, and Ewing hit a buzzer beater to extend that
Byron
series.
Scott hit a shot that won it.
To extend that
Ewing
series.
took 9 steps.
Ewing extended the series.
He even admitted afterwards he took 9 steps.
So, really, he's a victim of his own success.
9
The only reason that the finger roll happened was because Ewing was a hero and made the game-winning shot. The difference between Knicks and Pacers fans is that I can respect Knicks fan, formerly. I can respect what Reggie Miller did and what the Pacers did and what they earned. Pacers fans are convinced that the Knicks never legitimately won any of the games that they ever played or any of the playoff series that they ever played.
Oh, they did. They just didn't win enough because in the end, 9 steps and then 8 fouls and 3-point play.
LJ's 4-point play. Well, don't lose twice at MSA. Don't lose twice at home. You don't like LJ's 4-point play? Don't lose twice at home. You have home court advantage. The Knicks are an 8 seed. They were barely a 500 team. Don't lose twice at home. If you don't like it, don't lose at home.
With the 4-point play, Knicks would have lost twice at home, right?
Don't lose twice at home.
And the Knicks would have if not for that 4-point play.
Yeah, but the Knicks would have had a Game 7 that Indiana would have had to win, so maybe they would have lost 3 times at home.
I'm just saying.
What are we doing next? IndyCar?
I don't care.
All right, fine. We'll do IndyCar. I'm in a bad mood now. Now I'm in a bad mood.
Don't blame me.
Put me in a bad mood.
Pat Riley.
I don't
blame
know.
Pat
IndyCar,
Riley.
I guess. We'll let Mr. IndyCar do it over here. He's on the network. Okay, great. We'll do that next. Come back or don't. Bye. Brain Schultz.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned, and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgages and a snap! Duh!
Bailey & Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned, and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgages and a snap! Duh!
Bailey & Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back. It's Brain Schultz, presented by Bailey & Wood Financial Group here on the ISC Sports
Throw up
Network.
your arms for.
Alongside Jake Query.
Walked in, you were doing this.
I'm doing this because you're like having a conversation with Rake and
Very
Sean's
important
giving the
stuff.
countdown. What do you think 4, 3, 2, what do you think that means?
It means I'm talking to Greg about a very important matter.
Okay. It can wait until after the show. IndyCar, an interesting weekend on the streets of Detroit. Generally speaking, after the 500, they had been going to Belle Isle, which was a Penske event, right?
Correct.
The Belle Isle thing?
Yeah, for the most part. Influenced by Penske because he's a Detroit guy.
Sure.
Right?
And it was a pretty scenery. I mean, it's a impressive kind of area, I guess, of Detroit, but the race itself, just a really bad follow-up to the 500.
Right.
Because I know we're talking about probably a small number of people, but there have to be some people that watch the 500 and think to themselves, oh, man, they race every week? I want to check out next week's race and see what it's doing and what it's like. And then they were treated at Belle Isle and they never came back, probably. I'm not going to make the streets of Detroit into some, like, oh, my God, unbelievable event. But I thought all in all, it went pretty well. They balanced the amount of danger and catastrophe and drama, I thought, pretty well. It very easily could have been a catastrophic event, but it ended up, I think, going off okay.
A brand new racetrack with 90-degree turns, so it was narrow. I think the thought was, especially after Friday's practice session, that it was going to be a race with a lot of casualty. And by casualty, I mean car casualty,
sure.
not individual. But by the time the race rolled around, I think they kind of figured out how to navigate it. Alex Palou started on pole and kind of ran away with it. He is really good at, once he gets out in front, just growing and increasing and expanding leads. I thought it visually looked great for the city of Detroit, and the track was really bumpy, but it was pretty exciting to see how that was going to handle late in the race. It was 100 laps. Felt like maybe it could have been like an 85-lapper, admittedly. But I think, Derek, my biggest question is this, and that is, after the Indy 500, what do you do to maintain and continue to grow the interest of people that came out to watch the 500 but don't watch the rest of the races? I mean, I'm asking rhetorically. I don't know.
Good point. I don't know either. It's hard because nothing's like it.
You're right.
You could even do – I remember a couple of years they did Texas as the follow-up, right? And that's probably about as close as you're going to get to somewhat of a replica of, it's an oval, et cetera. And you also had a lot of chaos in that race. But I don't know how you capitalize on it, because I think a lot of people outside of Indianapolis just view IndyCar as a one-event sport. And you tune in for the 500, and that's it. I think in some circles, NASCAR has become that, unfortunately for them. It wasn't that way 20 years ago, but I think NASCAR has kind of become that, where you tune in for Daytona, and maybe you tune in when they come back, and I don't know, maybe you still do like Talladega and some of that, but I think, I'm watching NASCAR on TV, and if I'm not a super fan, I have no idea where they're racing most of the time.
Right.
And I think that's the case with IndyCar, too. It's either the streets of Detroit or the streets of Lisbon. Like, I don't know.
I've always wondered this. The 500 was awesome. I mean, everything about it. The crowd was massive. It's everything about it's awesome. 330,000 people. And there were probably another, realistically, 50,000 on Carb Day. But of that 380, how many of them carried their interest beyond that race? Or how many of them are there because it's an unbelievable civic celebration.
10%? 40,000? Is that fair?
Okay.
I mean, 10% doesn't sound like much. 40,000 is a lot of people.
It is.
And you're thinking about how local that event is too. There are a lot of Indianapolis people there, so you're drawing from that crowd.
Well, I think civically, there's no denying what an event it is, right? My worry is I shouldn't say worry because it was a massive event. And this is true, not just IndyCar. I mean, this is true, I think, of a lot of events. Derek, I've said it a million times. When I was a kid, Wimbledon. I mean, regardless, everyone watched Wimbledon. I wasn't a tennis fan, but I always watched Wimbledon. I knew who won Wimbledon. It was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. It was a big deal. It was an annual event, right? Kentucky Derby, same thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I don't even know that I knew of the Preakness to the Belmont when I was a kid, but I knew the Kentucky Derby. I knew who won the Kentucky Derby. Cover of Sports Illustrated, everything else. The Masters, same thing.
Yep.
And the Indy 500 was in that mix. In 1982, I think kids at the dinner table were saying, like, did you see who won the Indy 500? Is that true today? I don't know outside of Indianapolis that it is. Who cares, because there were 330,000 people there. But if you're trying to grow the sport itself, I don't know. I don't know how you bounce off that.
Yeah, it's never going to be dinner table conversation again, but neither is the World Series.
That's fair. Yeah.
So that's just kind of the era that we live in. But I still think there is room for a lot of growth for IndyCar just in general. I'm not even asking it to be F1, but, we talk about NASCAR kind of tanking. IndyCar would dream for the ratings that NASCAR and the audience that NASCAR still has.
Or the reality show numbers of F1. Right?
Or that too, yeah. And I think what they have unlocked here is that I think they've figured it out now schedule-wise what to do. And that's loaded up with street races and have that festival atmosphere. And I think they're doing a really good job with that because at this point, there are more street races than road courses, right? Or is it even?
I've got to think. Long Beach,
St. Pete,
Detroit, St. Pete,
Nashville.
Road courses, you've got Mid-Ohio.
Is Portland Road?
Laguna Seca.
That's not through
Portland's
the streets
road,
of Portland, right?
Portland's road. Yeah. Portland, Laguna Seca, Mid-Ohio, Barber. So 4 and 4 right there, right? Oh, IndyCar road course twice.
Toronto.
That's a street.
Yeah.
So it's about half.
So it's about half and half.
Yeah.
But still, I think you've, and then mix in a few, whatever the ovals are left. But, I mean, I would love to see them go. I don't like road course racing. I
know,
don't.
but people show up for
I
it.
know, and people
it's
like
catch-22 for sure.
Yeah, and people like the Elkhart Lake and camping out or walk. I know they don't go to Watkins Glen anymore, but like Watkins Glen and doing that, I get that that's part of the experience too. But like watching it on TV, I don't like it as much.
By the way, did you come up with our Lou Malnati's Look Who's Cooking?
I did, yeah. It was a guy that we were just talking about. Our friends at Lou Malnati's have the patio open in Broad Ripple, Midtown location of Lou's, and we've got our free delivery code still going. Right
Hold
here.
On. Yeah, you got it.
QNS Friedel 23. QNS Friedel 23. Free delivery anywhere that you are in central Indiana. And at all of those locations, Avon, Broad Ripple, which we just mentioned, West 86th Street across from Brebeuf High School, Carmel, Greenwood.
People love Lou
5
Malnati's, man.
Central Indiana
and the traditionals,
locations.
excellent.
Delicious pie, and they've got great wings as well.
They do.
So if you've never checked out the Lou's Wings, check them out. Alex Palou.
Yeah.
In a series of talented drivers, he continues to just kind of look like the cream of the crop. 26 years old. He's had 6 straight top 5 finishes. And I think what you're seeing so far, he was a points champion in 21. I think what you're seeing so far, Jake, is that this season he's gotten back to that consistency. Like last year was like this, where, Palou was kind of a little bit all over the map, and I think he finished 4th or 5th in the championship. This year, he's just cranking out wins and top 5s every single
The other thing about him, Derek, it was a foregone conclusion after last year's contractual dispute and legal stuff that he was gone to Arrow McLaren at the end of this season. I'm not certain that is the foregone conclusion that one expected now, because as Scott Dixon enters the twilight of his career, I think Alex Palou has to look at it and say, okay, Marcus Armstrong slides into the 10, I go to the 9 car, and I become the featured driver for Ganassi for infinite number of years. Now, Arrow McLaren has the appeal of the faster avenue and the more obvious avenue into Formula One. And that probably is of interest to Alex Palou more so than it would be Marcus Ericsson, who is the other possibility in Ganassi racing. But,
Well, if F1's going to happen for him, it's got to happen like now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's 26.
Yeah.
So I think that decision would come here pretty soon. Like the second that he would re-sign with Ganassi, I think that would take F1.
That's probably true.
Pretty much out of the equation.
And that might be what keeps him in the Arrow discussion.
Yeah.
McLaren, yeah.
But yeah, I think that's being the Chip Ganassi Racing featured driver. There are worse places to be.
You're right.
Sometimes with these things, we always talk about, it's heading for divorce and it's messy. Like we just did that with the Pacers and Miles Turner. Sometimes you just have two sides, and it's this show. We don't always see eye to eye. But at the end of the day, we love each other, and we are hitched to each other to be successful. Like we need one another in order to succeed. And I think we both kind of realize, I know I've kind of gone more independent and done a little bit more things, but I always kind of come back to the show. Like I've had opportunities to leave this show, and I've decided, no, I want to stay, not only because I think there is still some more growth to tap out here, but because of our friendship.
Let me ask you one question.
Mm-hmm.
The opportunities to leave this show. Other than an opportunity that you were ready to sign your life away for the next 5 years, and I stepped in and said, I think you should reconsider here, and turned out I was right. What other opportunity?
Well, I went through a COVID brain fog from about March of 20 to August of 21 or so. It was a long one. So anything that happened in there, I'm not really responsible for. Any like business decisions or dealings that may or may not have occurred, I'm not responsible for. But yeah, there have been a couple of others.
I remember doing a conference call with you where you were both, I think, stunned and terrified. And then you called me and you're like, dude, I don't know if you should have played it that way. And I said, trust me.
Yeah, you were openly combative on a a conference call that we had because you saw something that I had not quite seen yet. That's where you actually used your age and years of experience to the better.
Was I right?
You ended up being right. Yeah, it was actually a great decision. Sometimes the best decisions that you make are the ones that you what's the old saying? Sometimes the best decision that you make is the one that you don't make, or I guess not saying yes.
Today is June 5th.
I've told you this before.
2023.
I've told you this before.
When we're taping this. Jake's wisdom paid off in a deal that didn't get done, and Derek, I believe, just said.
I was really excited about the deal until I saw the contract. And then I saw the contract, and I said, wait a minute here.
You were being asked to make a deal with this guy.
Well,
right
yeah.
here, right?
I mean, it was
right there.
Very
There's
rarely
the guy that orchestrated the deal that Derek wanted to sign.
I'll say this, and I like the people. I'm not going to tell you who it was. I like the people over there, but very rarely in my life have I been like professionally insulted. And
it's rough.
Yeah, that deal was kind of like, hey, how stupid do you think we are? Like,
Right.
Don't get me wrong, I'm desperate. I think you can tell that I'm pretty desperate. I ain't that desperate, but yeah.
Even your brain fog, you were able to overcome.
We've had a lot of like. Kind of not inside joke, but like inside baseball stuff on today's show. So if you guys are still sticking with us,
quick hits next.
Yes, and Chateau Kitchen's Bout Bowl Bleep. We'll come back and wrap it up. Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Hey, AC.
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Hi there, welcome back. Jake Query, Derek Schultz. Apparently I'm the aged and savvy veteran. The old guy, Jake Query, along with Derek Schultz, the freshly shaved Derek Schultz. And this is Query and Schultz on the ISC Sports Network. Thank you to those of you who are listening and or watching as we are speaking, at least on tape speaking. Time for Chateau Kitchens. And by the way, I did, again, as somebody who's pretty good at negotiations, I negotiated a deal with Chateau Kitchens. Derek negotiated a deal with Chateau Kitchens in getting one of the great bathrooms, showers, and now basements that one can ask for in a remodeled home. I actually struck the following deal with Chateau Kitchens. I called up, and Derek, tell me again the name of the owner of Chateau Kitchens. Stephen, that's right. I was thinking Scott. I called Stephen. I said, Stephen, here's the deal. A lot of people ask me to wear their stuff, show it off a little bit, as the aging veteran and the savvy one of the group. I said, I will gladly put your hat on our show during the segment sponsored by Chateau Kitchens. I will gladly wear your colors, fly your colors, wear them right here. Do it with pride. And he said, that's awesome. That is the kind of marketing that we're looking for, is above and beyond, just the connection. People seeing it, they see you're wearing the hat, they feel the connection. They want to be part of the Chateau Kitchens family. And I said, Stephen, that's exactly what I want to do for you. But here's the deal. And he said, okay. And I said, I need you to agree to, understand, and sign off on putting the complete kibosh on the Derek shower photo and never allowing us to show or use it again.
Absolutely not. That's what he said.
There you go.
Absolutely not, Stephen said.
Okay. Hat comes off. Sorry,
Dikembe
I tried.
I
tried.
Not today, my friend.
Cover my eyes.
Because Stephen knows what this can do for his audience and for his target customer. They see that and they think, beautiful shower, beautiful dude. That's exactly what they think at Chateau Kitchens. At Chateau Kitchens on Instagram and Facebook, chateaukitchens.com.
Greg had to yell at me that I'm clear.
Transform your kitchen space, your bathroom, anything on the interior of your home with our friends at Chateau Kitchens. Here's what we do with Bite or Bold Bleep. I give a statement. Jake and I go back and forth whether we bite or it's Bold Bleep. Here we go. Statement 1. Jimmy Butler's legacy is already secured even without an NBA title. Bite or Bold Bleep?
Well, his legacy would be changed if they win a title because his legacy is that he is a Bulldog player that takes his team to the finals with just an unbelievable will to win. If they were to win, then I think a lot of the underdog status of the times that he had to lift them up to get him there probably goes away, and then he just becomes a guy that's won a title, if that makes sense.
They're very different players, but would the 90s comp for Jimmy Butler be Reggie Miller? Like, just a guy that you don't ever want to doubt. And I don't know if, Jimmy Butler,
Here's the
at the end of the day, Jimmy Butler's probably never been one of the 5 or 6 best players in the NBA, right? Pound for pound?
Right.
Yet, you always fear him. And, I think people are going to say, oh, you're in Indianapolis. Of course you're going to say that. I think people on the outside viewed Reggie Miller as a winner, even though he never actually won a title.
I would agree. I mean, Reggie Miller had the drawback of having, even though I realized the guy was out for 2 seasons, but having his pinnacle and the team that was built for him be in the prime of Michael Jordan's era.
As did a lot of players.
And Jimmy Butler, right now, who's the dominant, who's the lead in the East? Giannis? Embiid? Like, there's not the clear number one that is holding everybody back.
Yeah, that's true. And I do think
microphone's driving me crazy.
I do think pound for pound, Butler is a better player than Reggie Miller was. But I think people view Jimmy Butler as a winner like they viewed Reggie Miller as a winner.
Totally. No, you're right.
So I'd say yes in the sense that even if he doesn't win the title, I think they would view him as a winning player. I was racking my brain. I'm like, who would be like the Jimmy – like, let's say he doesn't win or he never wins a title. Who would be the Jimmy Butler comp? And Reggie was the one that came to mind.
Barkley?
He bounced around teams like Butler did, I guess. So, yeah, and Bulldog kind of player. I don't know. Maybe Barkley would be a better one.
How many teams?
I don't know though. Did people view Barkley as a winner though? Like,
did Barkley retire as a Rocket?
Yeah. So it was just Sixers, Suns, Rockets, right? That was it for Barkley.
Yeah.
Whereas like Pippen went to like Portland for a little while. There were some other guys. Karl Malone bounced around a little bit.
Pippen's struggling, right?
I don't know what he's doing. He needs to hire a new PR or just hire a PR person in general. Statement 2, college baseball and softball World Series are the most underrated sporting events. Bite or Bold Bleep?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Softball in particular.
It's great.
And people are starting to figure it out, though, right? But it is good.
I love that they let him celebrate.
Except for IU.
What do you mean? Oh, because of the ejection?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. I love that fans are more allowing it. These guys and gals celebrate more than MLB players, I feel like, even. So, yes, I don't know if I'd even say underrated anymore. I think the secret's kind of out about that. Final statement, you shouldn't be allowed to turn right on red downtown. Bite or Bold Bleep?
I don't know why
Getting
this
political
is
on the show.
I don't know why this is some big brouhaha.
Because people don't pay attention.
I don't understand this.
When you're turning right on red, you're looking at the traffic over here. You're not looking at potentially cyclists or pedestrians that might be right here.
Here's what I don't understand. At Washington and Maryland now, this is the first time that I've seen this infiltrated to our state. They have the red arrow with a sign that says no turn on red arrow. Well, if you can't turn on red arrow, what's the point of the red arrow?
Why be an arrow?
Why not just no turn on red?
Yeah, I don't know. To like hammer it home that you're not supposed to do it.
But then what the hell is the red arrow for?
I'd like to see no right turn.
We're going to put something up here just to tell you that it has no use.
And cyclists safe, but I don't know. It's become this big political thing. State House and City Council and whatever. I don't know. Don't want to. Corey and Schultz want to stay above the fray when it comes to that. Rake, do we have time for quick hits? If we did a quick hits?
People don't want you going right? Is that
we have 1 minute? All right, 1 minute quick hits. You ready?
Quick, all right.
Trace Jackson Davis working out for the Pacers.
Cool.
Second round pick, first round pick?
Late first.
Yeah, early second for me. Tom Brady not playing again. Shot it down. Look, the dude's 46 in August. He's not playing again. Get over it. 82-year-old weed dealer gets a final warning from a German court. He has 24 previous convictions under his belt and was trying to supplement his 800 per month euro monthly pension. Give the weed dealer in Germany who's elderly a break. Let him sell weed.
They've given him one 24 times,
Let him
apparently.
sell weed. He's not hurting anybody. This is my pro-marijuana message for the show today. Thanks to all of our great
don't
sponsors.
Turn on red.
Chili Water Brewing, Hoagies and Hops, Lou Malnati's, Bailey & Wood Financial Group, Love Heating and Cooling. Lou Malnati's. Oh, wait, I said Lou Malnati's. Who else am I missing?
Twice. It's
everyone that sponsors the show. They're great. Chateau Kitchens, thank you. Bye. See ya. Corey and Schultz.